The sky tore open, a rift in the fabric of reality itself. A fiery streak blazed across the prehistoric sky, illuminating the ancient world below with an eerie glow. The spaceship, the Kronos, ripped through the atmosphere, its hull screaming in protest. Inside, chaos reigned as alarms blared and systems failed. Captain Eva Stone fought the controls, her face grim and determined, every muscle straining against the ship's violent shudders. Around her, the crew braced for impact, their faces masks of fear and resolve.
Dr. Mark Jenkins, pale but resolute, clutched his temporal stabilizer, the device their only hope of returning home.
Sergeant Jackson Jax Riley, a mountain of a man, secured a loose energy conduit, his hands moving with practiced precision despite the chaos.
Dr. Lena Singh, her eyes filled with terror, finished a system diagnostic, her fingers flying over the controls in a desperate bid to stabilize the ship. The jungle rushed up to meet them, a sea of green that promised both refuge and danger. Trees became streaks of green, a blur of foliage as the Kronos hurtled towards the ground. The Kronos slammed into the earth with a deafening roar, shearing through vegetation, leaving a trail of fire and destruction in its wake. Silence fell, broken only by the crackle of flames and the groan of the dying ship, a stark contrast to the chaos that had preceded it. Then, from the jungle, came a chilling sound. A low growl, primal, hungry, echoing through the trees and sending shivers down their spines.
Eva groaned, regaining consciousness. Her vision swam as she tried to focus, the world around her a haze of smoke and shadows. "Report," she rasped, her voice hoarse from the smoke and strain.
Jax, his face bloodied but determined, unstrapped her. "Singh's dead, engines fried. We're stranded," he said, his voice grim. "And something tells me this ain't the Holiday Inn," he added, nodding towards the jungle, from which came a chorus of growls, each more menacing than the last. The sounds of the jungle grew louder, a symphony of unseen threats that promised a new set of challenges for the stranded crew.
Panic threatened to consume them, a primal fear that gnawed at their resolve. They were soldiers, scientists, explorers, each with their own expertise and courage, but none were prepared for this. This prehistoric Earth was a hostile, unforgiving world, teeming with dangers that defied their understanding. The air hung heavy, thick with the scent of unknown flora and the musk of unseen predators, a constant reminder of the lurking threats.
"The time gate," Eva said, her voice finding its strength amidst the chaos. "It's our only way home," she continued, her eyes filled with a glimmer of hope. She struggled to her feet, her body screaming in protest. "Jenkins! Status report!" she commanded, her tone brooking no argument.
Jenkins, his face pale, consulted his instruments, the weight of their situation pressing down on him. "The temporal stabilizer is damaged, Captain," he reported, his voice tinged with worry. "We need to reach the gate's coordinates. It's our only hope," he added, pointing to the flickering display. His voice trembled slightly, betraying his fear and the gravity of their predicament.
Jax scanned the jungle, his hand hovering near his weapon. "Then we move." "But we stick together," he ordered, his voice firm. "One wrong move out here, and we're Dino Chow," he warned, his eyes scanning for any sign of danger. He hefted his pulse rifle, a grim look settling on his face, ready for whatever lay ahead.
Eva nodded, her gaze sweeping over the wreckage. "Salvage what you can, weapons, ammo, medical supplies," she instructed, her mind racing with plans. "And keep your eyes open," she added, her voice a low warning. "We are not alone in this jungle," she reminded them, the weight of her words sinking in. Her words echoed in the sudden silence, heavy with unspoken dread as they prepared to face the unknown.
The jungle pressed in, a suffocating wall of green, its dense foliage creating an almost impenetrable barrier. The air was thick with humidity, making every breath feel like a struggle. Razor-sharp leaves tore at their clothes, thorns snagged at their gear, leaving behind trails of blood and fabric. Each step forward was a battle against the relentless vegetation. Every rustle of leaves, every snap of a twig, sent a jolt of adrenaline through them. The jungle was alive with sounds, each one a potential threat lurking in the shadows. They were prey in a hunter's paradise, constantly on edge, their senses heightened to a razor's edge. The feeling of being watched was inescapable.
A monstrous shadow fell over them, casting a dark pall that seemed to swallow the light. A brachiosaurus, a titan among titans, lumbered past, its long neck reaching for the canopy, its footsteps shaking the ground. The sheer size of the creature was both awe-inspiring and terrifying. It seemed indifferent to their presence, yet its sheer size filled them with a sense of their own insignificance. They were mere ants in the presence of a giant. "Magnificent," whispered Jenkins, his eyes wide with awe. The sight of the brachiosaurus was a reminder of the wonders and dangers that this jungle held. He fumbled for his datapad, eager to record the encounter. This was a moment that needed to be documented, a rare glimpse into a world long lost to time.
"Save the sightseeing, Doc," Jax growled, his hand never straying far from his rifle. His eyes scanned the surroundings, ever vigilant. "We've got company." He gestured with his chin towards the undergrowth, where the foliage seemed to move with a life of its own.
A pair of glowing eyes watched them, cold and calculating. The eyes seemed to pierce through the darkness, filled with a predatory intelligence. The jungle exploded in a frenzy of teeth and claws. The air was filled with the sounds of snarls and roars, a cacophony of violence. Two velociraptors, sleek and deadly, darted from the foliage, their eyes fixed on Eva. Their movements were fluid, almost graceful, yet filled with lethal intent. She raised her energy pistol, firing a series of blindingly fast pulses. The air crackled with energy as the shots lit up the jungle. One raptor shrieked, falling back, but the other leaped, its claws extended, aimed at her throat. The battle for survival had begun, and there was no room for error.